like I said, the war ended in '45 and I was 10 years old, and they started making those movies. I guess between my age of 10 and 15, I used to see those movies about those pilots and how they flew those planes. I used to love that. I used to have my grandmother she let me go to the movie. I had a paper route, so I paid my own way. And I could never go on a Sunday, though. That was against her religion. She didn't believe. Sunday, you stayed at home, you went to church, and that's all you did. So back home, you had to buy your own books to go to school. They didn't give you books like they do out here. I had to kind of strike out on my own for as support myself to buy clothes and go to school. And when I graduated from high school, I joined up. But unfortunately, my career was cut short because President Kennedy came into office, and he said he did not want any career men in. What he meant by that, you had to have a certain score that you had to come in at. Unfortunately, I was under that score. So they put me out after 6 years. And so I went back to college and got my education, and I went and re-enlisted again. And I got a higher score, and I stayed there 21 years, which I enjoyed. I met a lot of great guys. And I was an aircraft mechanic on KC-135s. That's a tanker that, as you know, that fuel aircraft in air. I remember one guy who I'm still a friend with today. His name was Tyrone Briscoe. He was from Washington, D.C. We used to call him TJB from WDC. And in fact, I just got a phone call from him last week. You want to know how I was doing? I want to know how he was doing. Some of the guys got more homesick than others. But then I say, we all stuck it out. I got used to being away from home after a while. You kind of grow into it that you're not so lonely anymore because you meet new people. You kind of adapt to your situation. Like I said, I served during peacetime, and so there wasn't really no challenges except, like I said, you had to be there naturally and on time and do your job and do what you're told. Then again, I learned that from my grandmother. That's where she raised me. Otherwise, you didn't. You got her paddle if you didn't do what you were told. So, my ambition was to be a pilot someday, but unfortunately, the good Lord didn't make me 5'10", only made me 5'2". He didn't make me tall enough. So, in fact, I haven't even been out to March Air Force Base in a while. Come to think of it, I used to go out there once in a while, out to the base and go to the commissary and to the BX, and I would stop by the hangar where I was based at. A lot of the guys, last time I was there, I found out my squadron had moved out. They're not there anymore. So I was only there for reserve, so I was only there 2 days out of a month. And then 15 days out of the summertime, when you went to training for 15 days. Sometime it was there at March Air Force Base here at Riverside, and sometime we went on field trips. We spent on our 15 days. It depends on what the situation was. Like I say, to me, it was experience, and I enjoyed it. And well, I think we owe it to our country. This is a great country, and that you owe it to this country. And you owe a debt to it, and your job is to, like you have a house, you keep it up, right? You take care of it, and otherwise what's going to happen to the house if you don't take care of it? To me, this is the greatest country on earth, for as I'm concerned.
So the war was really going strong, so the Vietnam War, so they drafted me. I didn't volunteer, but, you know, when they draft you, just go, you know. I did my my basic training in Fort Ord, California, which the base is closed now. And then I did like 8 weeks of their basic training, and And then from there, you go to advanced training, which AIT, which I did in Fort Leonard Wood in Nessa, Missouri. It's a really cold place in the winter, and that's where I did it there. And then from there, I was shipped over to airborne unit in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And in my specialty was petroleums, was a petroleum specialist. So I dealt with a lot of fixed wings like airplanes, helicopters. We fueled them up, and I got to learn about the fuels and everything. When I shipped out of LA. They flew us out to Cam Ranh Bay, which is a base that they have in Vietnam that everybody comes in, and from there they sent the replacements to every kind of bases that they want to. And at the time Quy Nhon was my place to go. So they flew us from Cam Ranh Bay to Quy Nhon. That was in 67. I think the most dramatic thing was when I stepped out of the airplane, and it was unreal. You cannot even imagine until you've been there. The humidity, the odor, everything is just like, wow, gee, what I get into, But it was something that we had to do, it was part of the war. It was our duty. We'd get those, the ship, we were kind of close to the beach area, so we had ships that would come in and they had pipelines going through our base, and we would get the fuel there, and then from there we'd distribute it to whoever needed it. But it was a little hassle because we had to, every morning we had to patrol the pipelines to make sure they weren't booby-trapped or sabotaged or anything. You make a mistake out there, it's going to cost, and you're talking about ruining tons of fuel. So we had to be on our best, really sharp. I was there for the Tet Offense, when Ho Chi Minh wanted to unite South and North, for communists. And that was an experience. We had a lot of, some action. Our company got hit one night, I remember that, and we were just barely replacements there, and some of the guys took off running. I just went to the front, got my weapon, and did what I had to do, I went in the front with all the old timers. I'll never forget that, because the bullets were hitting around us. We were laying on the floor, and they were ricocheting through each right or left side. I said, I'm not going to sit here. I'm going to go in the front, so I did that. That was one of my memories. I made sergeant. I stood there. I wasn't in charge of the big petroleums then. And then my time went up, and I just flew out. That's it. Never looked back. I did keep in touch with my friends. But time goes, and just after a while, you don't hear from them anymore. I'll never forget this, when I came back home, that the people really, were resenting the war, which we were there too long. And it kind of hurt me because they flew us in at night. So people wouldn't even look at us. And that was pretty bad. I mean, you're in uniform, and you gotta hide. That was bad, so I forgave. I let it go. But it hurt. One of those things. But I love my country. I just had my little group of friends. We just sit together and just talk and everything. Always talk about home. And we get like packages, we'd always share the stuff, My mom would always send me Kool-Aid because the water was horrible there, They use a lot of those pills so we won't get malaria. And so she always sent me Kool-Aid and stuff like that, and stuff like that. It was nice to see that all the time coming. Makes it easier. Yes. I learned, what I learned? I learned to love my country better, because when you're over there and you come home, man, you just kiss the ground. I'm telling you. It's such a difference. Feel like in the other country, you feel like you're trapped. When you come here, you feel free. You feel free, I'm telling you. People don't understand and don't really understand what freedom is until they serve in a different country at wartime. They come here and they'll appreciate it so much, really. So a lot of people don't know that. We're the old dying out breed, man, I'm telling you.
I was in college, attending USC, and the war was going on. It was winding down in Europe, but Japan was still going. One of the reasons that I joined was we lived down in the South Bay, and we had the anti-aircraft guns in front of our house. My mother had to tape the window to keep it from breaking. And I grew up on a hill overlooking the South Bay, and we'd have blackouts, and it was unreal to see all of LA Basin go black. We began to feel that we were being kind of frivolous, going to school, going to the games at the Coliseum, and being in a sorority. So 13 of us got together and joined the Navy. And since my family was in aviation, I wanted something that was in that area, and luckily I was sent to the Naval Air Station in Atlanta. When I graduated, they kept me on as an instructor. So I stayed there all my Navy career. Future instructors, and I taught pilots and other people in the link. And it was fun. But flying the link was like flying on the ground. You would go inside it, put the hood down, and it was black. If you're claustrophobic, don't do it. And we flew by instrument. And one day our commander called two of us in and said that we wanted to fly from Atlanta to Binghamton, New York, and to the Link factory, because the Navy was buying some of the newer models. And so we had to plot the flight and do the flight plan, and it was night flying because we had to be there in the morning. We flew over Washington, D.C., and it was very cold, and the wings started icing up, and we were looking out the window with the flashlight and watching it. Of course, there was a lot of marching and drilling, and I still walk with a long stride. I can keep up with my 6'4" son. And we would get up in the morning, and there would be drill, and we'd go to the link, and we'd have students come in, and we would be with them most of the day. And we did do our guard duty as such, walking at night. And we had a day room. I can remember the day that Roosevelt died, and the news came in, and everybody was very subdued. It was kind of a shock. But we had fun. We had places to swim. We'd get together and sing. I sang in the Wave Chorus, and we went downtown to sing for people in town, things like that. I was in Atlanta my whole time. It was really what I had hoped for. I really, if I could have, I would have loved to have flown, but women couldn't fly then. So I got the nearest thing to it. But they kept me on staff instead of sending me out. So, which was kind of an honor, because I knew I did well. We were able to hitchhike on planes to go home on leave. And so when I was on leave, I got a seat on a transport plane, on Army transport. And then I got to New Orleans, and I hitchhiked in a TBM squadron. And I got to sit in the gunner's seat that's down on the bottom, and you look facing backward. So we flew from New Orleans to San Diego. And the Navy pilots for young kids, just full of fun and vim and vigor. Over the intercom, they said, "Fasten your seatbelt. You're back in California," and proceeded to have a dogfight. And we were all over the place. There were six planes. in the squadron. It was fun.